One more thing, because of what happened with Jussie Smollett,
Yes.
no one at KPFT ever again mentioned white male privilege. It is illegal to mention white male privilege. It's called wealthy privilege. Get it straight, okay?
Hold, you stop right there, Brad. Let me remind you of something. Did you hear the beginning of my show or not?
Yeah, I heard what you said, but again, nobody mentioned it again.
Brad, stop for a second. One of the reasons I was so mad when I figured that what he did was a stunt. One of the reasons that I went ahead and never spoke about it, so it's because of what you're doing right now. There is something called white privilege. Let me tell you what I did at Starbucks the other day. I was talking to a guy, a white guy like you, when we started talking about white privilege, and he said, like, Berto, there's nothing white privilege, all of that, we're all the same. I said, I know we're all the same. You don't have to convince me that we're all the same. You got to convince you that we're all the same. And then I said, I tell you what we're going to do. Both of us are going to put on a suit, and we're going to go to a restaurant, and we're going to go as two businessmen, and let's see what kind of treatment you get versus the treatment I get. And what I try to tell him is, you see, I've run this experiment several times before. I was riding a bike with a couple other guys. I live in Kingwood, and we go into a store. I go in first, he comes in second. They took care of him first. He said nothing. We went to another store on the way back from the ride, and the same thing happened again. And outside, he's red as a cherry, and he said to me, I have something to tell you, and it's just bothering me. And he said, I never understood it before, but I understand what you're saying now. We weren't even talking about it. What I'm trying to tell you, Brad, is do not make what happened with the Smollett case. You are correct that there is a class thing here, okay? But do not discount those of us who tell you, and you know deep in your heart as well. You have to know this deep in your heart, brother, that there is we call that treatment. We call all those things. We call the redlining that occurred back in the 40s. All of those things are privileges others did not have. Understand the concept. When you can understand the concept, then we can move off of it. Understand that you got benefit because of those benefits that were given 40 years ago, gave you a head start. Understand these things and stop trying to say, oh, I don't have any privilege that somebody else doesn't have. I can take a person who doesn't have an education, put a suit on them, and put a suit on me who has an extensive education, and go out there, and I would have to prove myself double. I live with that burden. I don't complain about that burden, but I live it. So please.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I've had a black business partner who told me some little altercation he had with the police.
Exactly.
Okay?
So
I have a black girlfriend who tells me that.
Well, speak to your black girlfriend, sir. She knows.
I'm not disagreeing, but what I'm trying to say is, if you and I are going to a place and I'm driving my little hoopty wearing jeans and a T-shirt, you're going in there driving your Mercedes and wearing your $1,200
suit.
Italian suit. Who do you think is going to get preferential treatment?
Let me stop you a second there, because I even have that as a concept. I dress like a bomb every day when I go to Starbucks, okay? I must admit that. We had a discussion with my wife one time about how I dress and how people are going to look at me. They're not going to know that you know all this stuff or all that kind of. I really don't care. We went into a store one time, and this guy looked like hell, and he got better service than I did, dressed pretty well. And I looked at my wife then and I said, you see what I'm telling you about? It has very little to do with how you look. It's about how you look and who you are.